Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Bleach Chapter 608. Okay, and in this chapter, the fight continues. Ichimonji is activated, and we see this weird thing with it where, when you look at the actual blade of the sword, the image of it keeps switching between a blade and a brush. Right, so well, I say our, but it's Yuha Box. His perception of the blade is being altered in some way, shape, or form. All right, and whenever Ichibei actually swings his sword, all this ink gets splattered everywhere. So I get maybe I get it was kind of hard to follow at times because of the way the paneling was done. Right, but you could that ink was having some type of effect on Yuha. That was clear. Right, he mentioned that he couldn't slice through it at all. I don't know if that means that there was just so much of it that he couldn't cut through it all, or if he meant that like he physically could not cut it. Like it was like he just hit, like it bent around his sword or something. Like he swung and then like he swung and it just went like this instead of actually breaking like that, like not breaking but like cutting through. I mean, like I don't know what exactly he meant by he couldn't slice through it, but he couldn't slice through it. That's I don't know how exactly he couldn't slice through it, but he couldn't slice through it. Okay. Um, and we do see though that the ink did get all over Yuhabak's sword, which according to Ichibei means that it loses its name. Okay, so that's a confirmed ability for Ichimonji, one of the confirmed abilities for Ichimonji. All right, um, and assuming that Yuhabak has a Sanpak, well, doesn't really matter matter whether it is or not, but because Ichibei actually goes and says it himself, that once that sword loses its name, that means Yuha can't access the sword's power anymore. Okay. Um, I would imagine that Yuha got this sword during the Thousand Year War, the war from 1,000 years ago, I should say. Um, but I am interested in hearing the story of why this Quincy is using a sword. Um, but yeah, yeah. Um, his abilities end up getting limited because of this ink. Okay, because he can't use Yamamoto's powers either, right? Because that cross that he captured the Bankai in, that got covered in ink too. All right, so that right there tells me that Yuha is definitely going to counter Ichimonji at some point, no doubt about it. I don't know whether it's whether it's going to be because of the executive team coming in, people like Gerard, Valkyrie, all right, Askin. You know, I don't know if it's going to be because of them jumping in or what, but Yuha is definitely going to counter that ink ability somehow, because I know Kubo wouldn't have Yuha capture Yamamoto's Bankai if he's never going to actually use it. That just wouldn't make sense. All right. Then again, the entire Bankai stealing storyline was pointless because at the end of the day, nothing changed except for Yuha getting Yamamoto's Bankai. So he could, instead of trying to come up with all these, plot twists and cliffhangers to get people excited, he could have just had it be an ability that only Yuha Bak has. All right. Because, like, whatever happened because of the other people losing their Bankai. Like, seriously, the only people who actually benefited from it were Soifun, because she got to master whatchamacallit, that one technique. But at the end of the day, if you really wanted Soifun to master that technique, you could have had it happen in the time skip. Like during the time skip after the eyes and stuff, just say she mastered it then. After all, this was the first time we saw her fight since then, right? So why not just say she mastered Shunko? There we go. Why don't we just say she mastered Shunko during the time skip, and now she's having to rely entirely on that, So even then, it's not like the Bankai stealing storyline was necessary for her. Toshiro, he made his ice thinner. It's like that's not even like, that's just like what? Like you could have just said that he already knew how to do that. It's just a matter of coming up with the strategy to do it. That's like, what? the only real argument you can make is Komamura. All right, saying that he only gained that power because he lost his Bankai. But at the end of the day, he didn't need to lose his Bankai. in order to get that power. All he had to do was lose. All he had to do was lose by a freaking lot. Then that would have been enough for him to say, like, this isn't enough. I need something else. Let me go to big dog, and can get immortality from him, So at the end of the day, every single thing that happened because of the Bankai stealing storyline could have been accomplished a different, logical, easier way. The only thing that the Bankai stealing storyline was actually helpful for or necessary for was getting Yuha to steal Yamamoto's Bankai. Alright, so for that you could have just had it be a power that only Yuha Bak has. After all, he's the leader who has other powers that only he has, right? So might as well. But the point of this tangent is saying that Kubo has done things before that aren't necessary. That's the point. Alright, so maybe he did have Yuha get Yamamoto's Bankai just as a way to get some more ratings, get some more votes to get his rank higher. Maybe that's the dude's addicted to plot twists. So maybe that's all. Maybe that legitimately is the only reason he did it. I want to doubt that, but I don't know. Maybe he did. I don't want to count the possibility out yet, but I want to 90% count it out. All right. Anyway. Speaking of powers that only Yuha Bak has, Holy Altar, right? Yuha tries to respond to his powers being limited by taking Ichibei's powers, okay? And according to Ichibei, he did actually succeed in stealing them. It's just that he can't actually use them because it's the power of darkness, and it specifically bends Ichibei's will. Okay, that's how I understood that. And it seems as though Ichibei can still manipulate it even with his power being stolen, so I would assume that... Okay, I could take this two ways. One is his power wasn't completely stolen and he still has some of it, or the power was legitimately stolen and Yuha Bak is the one using the power, but despite the fact that Yuha Bak is using the power, the definition of the power has not changed. So it's still a power that does whatever Ichibei wants it to do. Alright. So how can I say that to make it more clear? Yuha Bak is using a power that allows Ichibei to manipulate darkness. Okay. That's what I mean. Hopefully I made that clear. What's a good example? Okay, so Ichibei's power is the nine-tailed fox, and Yuha Bak is Jiraiya undoing the seal in part 1. Yuha Bak is allowing Ichibei to control darkness now, and allowing him access to this ability. I'm probably just making it more confusing. Okay, alright. The actual power is something. Never mind. I literally, if I say any more, I will just make it more confusing. I've explained it as clearly as I possibly could. One of those few ways I said it is the clearest. The definition of the power is Ichibei can control darkness. So even if Yuha Bak is the one activating the power, it doesn't change the fact that the power is still Ichibei can control darkness. So even if Yuha Bak activates the power, it's still Ichibei controlling darkness. All right, like that might have been the clearest way. I don't know. That's that. that's the way it can be taken. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of even clearer ways, but I'm just like making it more confusing. So I'm just gonna stop there. Hopefully you guys got it. Maybe after some time I can like come up with an easier, more comprehensible way to explain it. Just tell me in the comments. If I've been trying to read my. There's like a period where I just wasn't reading my comments because I was just overwhelmed with work because I had all my classes, each one of which expected me to get like 100 pages of reading done within like a week, and I'm like, you guys understand that I have classes besides yours, right? I know one of my classes, the professor was telling me, I expect you to read this chapter first time without taking notes, and then read it a second time and start taking notes, then read a third time without editing your notes, and then read a fourth time to edit your notes. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not reading this freaking like 50-page chapter 4 times when I have other work to do. You will be lucky if I read it once. You know, you know, I always get my work done, but still, I was slacking on my comics at one point. I could admit to that. All right, but I'm trying to read them more often. So, well, this past week I couldn't because I was, last week of classes, like I said before. Actually, no, I haven't said it in this video, but I've said it in the last two, World Trigger and Shokugeki no Soma, how in the last week of classes, all the professors save all of their biggest assignments to be due in that 1 week, ignoring the fact that you have other classes, which means that you have the biggest assignments of the semester all due within the period of 5 days, which is just incredibly overwhelming. So that's why I haven't read comments in the last week, but I'll go back through and read them, since I'm only reviewing like 5 things now. 4 things. Yes. 4 things now. All of which got done today instead of the last few days because it was last week of classes. But anyway, I'm just rambling on now. I'm just going on and on. Overall, I'll give this episode, this chapter, an 8.5 out of 10. Thought it was pretty good. Yeah, Ichibei is awesome. The facial expressions this guy makes is great. Like, this dude looks like the incarnation of evil at some points. Like, this dude is great. But yeah, that's it, you guys. I'll give the chapter an 8.5 out of 10, and that's that. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.